cute. It's just, it's so wild. You're welcome, Brandy. I wonder if Firebot or Mix It Up has a connection with Spotify so that I can just have a command to pull up what the song is. That'd be cool. And thank you for the follow, Frost. I don't have the follower alerts up, either that or they're not working. Um, no, Ben. Unacceptable question. um, did a follow alert come up? Oh my lord. Already? Oh, thank you, Frost. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, I didn't expect that to happen on the first one, but it's okay. Not a big deal. It's a little annoying, but whatever. That's cool. I'll look into that, Brandy, because it does sound cool. I'm just reporting this person real quick. Get rid of that account. It should be gone in like less than 10 minutes. Okay, that's exactly what I want, Ben. I don't want the person to be up there because I don't want anyone to like be called out or anything, but I do want it to acknowledge that a follow happened. And I still think the lurkers thing is happening too often. Oh, Carl has it. Okay. I might go use it one day just to see how it is. Yeah, there's the troll names, and then there's also like if a follow bot happens, I don't want chat to necessarily know because I don't want there to be a reaction. I don't want to give them what they want. So it'll pop up a few follows, and maybe it'll just look like I got shouted out. And then I can just turn the alerts off. So we just finished the row where we do our increase, so now we're just doing a normal return pass. The latest follower is fine for me because if there's a follow bot, then the followers are instantly banned. It'll update to the most recent normal person. That's my subtle call out to people. Because then there are the people that want to be acknowledged. So I'm trying to cater to everyone by not having it pop up on the screen with the alert, but then the latest follower updates. So I won't say their name unless I know them. Like I knew Frost. So I'll say thank you for the follow, Frost. That's just how I have it right now. I'm not sure if I'll change that up or not. Lately, I have been We'll just see how things play out. My camera keep going off. Yeah. Dance the night away. Mhm. Whoop. There we go. Dance the night away. If anyone has any questions about like Tunisian crochet or anything, let me know. I've been doing this for a minute now, and I feel like I could answer questions, like simple ones. Not right now, Caitlin, but maybe in the future. Maybe one day I'll let chat choose a project and they'll make something with pink. Yeah, Tunisian crochet is it's not the most common craft. It's probably like the least common fiber craft. I really like it, though it's better than crochet for me because I can't do the normal crochet movements constantly. It really just messes up my wrists. Like I'm wearing a brace right now because I don't have the best wrist. No one knows Ben because it's everyone's pretty sure somewhere in the Middle East. That's where a lot of fiber arts originated. There is a place called Tunisia. Um, but it's also called Afghan crochet in other parts of the world. Oh my gosh. It's 9.5, everyone. Hi, Nine. How are you doing? Nine is such an amazing person. She's one of the people that inspired me to do this. And yes, I hope that the family visit is going super well. Oh, that sounds great. A pool? That sounds amazing. It is currently 93 degrees outside, and let's see what the feel like is. The feel like is 107. Yeah. Oh no, nine. You know, now that we know that you have another dog over there, you're gonna have to post pictures in your Discord for us. Just saying. You don't have to make wearables with Tunisian pics. You can make like pillows. You can make you can make your own fabric for cross stitch. That's really cool. Oh god, I wouldn't do a blanket if I were you, pillow or pics. I'm already doing a blanket and it is something that I don't want to do anymore, but I'm going to finish it because I started it. The cross stitch fabric is something that's cool. And you can do Tunisian in the round, just saying. But Tunisian because it's flat. Let me get something for an example. I don't think I have something. I do have something. Okay. Let's turn our brightness up because this is black. So you can see the fabric makes a grid. So you can do all the cross stitch stuff on it. And you can also do color work with it and it makes perfect pixel art. Just saying. Oh yes. Gengar. Gengar's had quite the story. And we We miss Gengar 9. But thank you. This is the shawl that I'm making. So starts just a normal point like every other shawl. And then it goes into this. And we're just getting out wider now. And hopefully having the correct stitch count. Thank you, Panda. I know that you're a little slightly jealous of my color changes. I should be marking the center of this. I messed up. No, I didn't. I didn't mess up. I feel that, 9. I definitely feel that. Like 2 days ago, it was 80. It was very nice. And now we're back to the ridiculously high heat. Why does this look weird? Okay, that is fine. For the cross stitch, you just do the normal X. I don't think the cross stitches have a specific name. Pix can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you just do the typical like boom and then boom to make the X. Oh, you just crochet, you don't crochet anything special. You just crochet a strip of fabric or anything and then cross stitch into that. Because any Tunisian crochet, unless you are doing in like purl rows and full stitch, those don't make a grid. You're doing the knit stitch, Brandy, right? I, the knit stitch makes a grid, but it's a harder grid to see. So you may have some trouble working into that with cross stitch. But it's not, it would be worth it to try. I haven't personally tried the cross stitch on Tunisian yet, but I really do want to. I need more yarn. Oh, Panda. Hi, Panda. I hope Caitlin's enjoying her time. It does, Brandy. I finally caught a Pokemon. I know how you feel, 9. This is the first Pokemon I've caught all stream. It's been rough. Yeah, I know, but she has some hooks for it, so you should try to talk her into doing it. Oh, Blapple. Hi, Blapple. Thank you for coming in. You're on the morning shift or night shift? Whatever shift it is in Australia right now. Pics. Thank you for popping in, Blapple. I appreciate it. What am I grabbing right now? Okay. Oh no. Sorry, you couldn't see that, but it's too hard to see the stitches you're supposed to grab. Um, it's too hard to see the stitches you're supposed to grab without having it right up in your eyeballs. And I messed up. Oh, half the ramen is gone. Awesome. We love that. But you didn't share any ramen with us. It's been going good, Blapple. We had some problems in the beginning, but we figured it out. I had my bit rate set to 1500 higher than it should have been. So, that was causing some issues. Ben, the color yarn that she's using looks like ramen, and she had to frog a bunch of it. So, when you frog knitting, it leaves ruffles in your stitch and or like waviness that looks like ramen. But yeah, so we figured out the whole bitrate thing, and there haven't been any problems since then that I noticed. So that's good, I suppose. But but yeah. Yeah, I had my bitrate set for because I use OBS when I go in work meetings as well. So my bitrate just wasn't set properly. But yeah, we got that fixed. And we got the sound all figured out, which I'm thankful for because it sounded good when I did a recording test, but I didn't get the chance to do a live test with it. So I appreciate everyone helping me out with that as well. The Wally and Eve are so cute. I just can't stop looking at them. Make sure I did that on the correct stitch. Yep. Am I quiet to anyone else? I might have just been talking quiet before, and I could turn up. Trying to keep the dog from barking. You might need to turn my volume up, Brandy, like the stream volume. You might have it low. Somehow, Ben. Do you mean by not having ways to be trolled? It might be your computer then, Brandy. I'm not sure. Everyone else seems to be fine. We'll see. We'll see if I can actually manage to do um 6 more streams this month. Oh, it's so good, Gnome. It is so good. I appreciate the suggestion so much because my other mic just picked up absolutely everything. Like it would pick up a mouse from a million miles away. And this one just picks up what it needs to pick up. And that's what a microphone should do. And then I have it in combination with NVIDIA broadcasts um, as my filters. And that has been great. And the camera, same thing. Gnome recommended the gear for me. And I kind of needed this stuff anyway, because I do go and work meetings quite often now. So I needed a good camera and I needed a good microphone. And now I can use these for both. And with all the training that's been going on, definitely needed something so people could hear me good. How long have we been going? It's been about almost an hour since I last took a break. I think I'm gonna go ahead. Oh my god, never mind. Vintage is in here. Hi, Vintage. I'll take a break later. Nobody else. Nobody. How are you doing today, Vintage? Vintage, if you guys don't know her, which I'm pretty sure everyone here does, is an amazing, awesome human. She recently just did a 24-hour charity stream. It was actually 28 hours. And she rocked it. She did so good. And then she got a nice 17-hour sleep right after. We played some Fortnite. We did a bunch of charity stuff. We did some knitting, cross stitch, crochet. She did everything. And she killed it. She didn't take a nap. She didn't yawn. She did great. Yes, we did corrupt her bot. Her bot was saying some spicy things, to say the least. And there was quite the talk. Wait. Hey, Ben and Kat, I'm gonna DM you real quick. Alright, I messaged you guys. If you could check that out real quick, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Thank you. You guys are the best. I got no rules, I got no. Did I do my increases? I did. Thank you, Ben. Metallic yarn? Metallic snake crochet? That sounds like something Panda should do. Um, that was fine. I'm just looking for a good song. You missed Panda's first unofficial stream, but you haven't missed her first official stream yet. We still have yet to do that, but she's been doing a lot of stuff in the background, and she's almost ready. At the 2 hours and 30-minute mark, we're gonna take another break. Confessing, yes, I've been seeing her do the behind the scenes. She's been sending me pictures. So I have seen it. There is proof. Hi, Zakayla. Hi, Sammy. How are you both doing today? We're just doing some Tunisian crochet. We did some brick heads earlier, courtesy of Pat or Cat. Oh, now I'm saying weird stuff. Courtesy of Cat. And now we're just working on some rows on our shawl. I think I'll do about 2 more rows before I switch to something else. I'm actually not feeling the game. Not this time. I would like to complete it in one stream. I do not brandy, no. No schedule yet. Because, like, today only worked because I had the day off. And I didn't even realize I had the day off until a little bit ago. We're gonna take our break now because my back is hurting. I will be back in about 3 to 5 minutes.